The Amazon. A mighty river that has given its name to the greatest rainforest on Earth. A place of magic and mystery. Home to 1,000 species of birds, 60,000 species of plants, and 10 million species of insects. 1/5 of all living beings are thought to live here. But there is another Amazon you rarely see. Home to 20 million people, and a place where nature is there to be used. Where trees give way to tractors, and wildlife to cattle. This is the story of the conflict that's raging over the world's last great wilderness, of the fight for the largest rainforest on Earth, of the battle for the Amazon.
Brazil is burning. The sound of the Amazon this month is not rain or birdsong, but the crackling of destroyed tropical forest in what has become the world's most notorious act of environmental vandalism.
The Amazon first caught the world's attention in the 1980s, when a series of shocking reports hit the headlines.
It's estimated that every minute of the day here in Brazil, as much as 6 football pitches of virgin forest is cleared by fire. Over the course of a year, that works out as land about the size of the country of Belgium.
If we don't act now, there certainly won't be much rainforest for our children to be concerned about.
What was happening in the Amazon symbolized all we were doing wrong to the world. It was no coincidence that the first gathering of world leaders to discuss the environment, the Rio Earth Summit in 1992, took place in Brazil, in which almost 70% of the Amazon rainforest is found. Since this peak of global interest, everything has gone quiet. It seems the world has forgotten the Amazon. What is happening now? Did the worst predictions come true? How much of the rainforest is left? This is a journey to an unfamiliar place, the Brazilian Amazon of 2005. Here, there is a new front line of deforestation, where the future of the rainforest is being fought over by the opposing camps of environmentalists and big business. First stop is São Paulo. On the outskirts of the city is the Brazilian Institute for Space Research, the place to find the answers to some of the big questions about the Amazon. Most importantly, just how much rainforest is left.
Today we're close to having lost 17% of the Amazon forest in Brazil, which translates into something like 650,000 square kilometers.
Though a large area of the Amazon has been cut down, it's nowhere near as much as some environmentalists in the 1980s said would be lost. 83% of the rainforest is left in Brazil. Huge areas remain untouched and unexplored. As many as 40 Indian tribes have still had no contact with the outside world. So why did environmental groups paint such a gloomy picture? Paulo Adario heads up Greenpeace's operations in the Amazon.
Has there been a bit of an over-exaggeration of the rates of deforestation in the past?
Well, in a certain way, there was a kind of dramatic exposure of the fact that the Amazon is being destroyed. And if we didn't have dramatic images about the Amazon destruction in the 70s, we wouldn't have had maybe the Earth Summit in Rio 92. So thanks God, we pressed the button of the alarm in the 70s. Maybe sometimes was a little bit exaggerated, but the fighters are weaker than the destroyers. So some exaggeration is not a bad thing.
Exaggeration or not, the Amazon was in real danger then. But what about now? Satellite data gives Carlos Nobre an up-to-the-minute picture, so he can see deforestation almost as it happens.
In the last few years, primarily 2002 and 2003, deforestation has reached another level, much higher. And it's sad to say, but it's almost out of control.
Deforestation in the Amazon is linked to economic booms in Brazil. There were peaks in the 1980s and mid-1990s, and it looks as though we're in another one now. And so the threats to the rainforest are as great as they've ever been. But why should we care? There are plenty of reasons. The Amazon is home to almost 20% of the species on Earth, including 10 million species of insects alone. Some kinds of beetle are found on one tree. Every time forest is cleared, species are lost forever. But there are wider impacts. Burning the forest releases greenhouse gases like carbon dioxide, speeding up global warming. That's not the only impact it has on the atmosphere.
The Amazon is very important for the planet's climate because there is a lot of rainfall in the Amazon, and we know rainfall in the tropics, that's the main driver of the global atmospheric circulations. So there are good indications that far distant regions like UK, Scandinavia, or North America, there might be permanent changes in climate of those regions if there is radical or total deforestation in the Amazon.
The Amazon is important for the health of the planet, but to a developing country like Brazil, it's a huge source of income to be tapped. And this is what's driving deforestation. First, the government pushes roads into the forest. Logging companies are quick to follow, clearing tracks as they seek out valuable hardwoods, such as mahogany and cedar, that sell for thousands of pounds in Europe. But the real damage comes when cattle ranchers arrive to cut and burn what is left. More than 75% of the Amazon that has been cleared is now cattle pasture. But what's driving the current surge in deforestation? A good place to start looking for answers is the state of Mato Grosso. An arc of deforestation swept through here in the 1980s and 1990s. 43% of what has been lost went from here, an area almost half the size of France. Where once was rainforest, there are now fields as far as the eye can see. Trucks laden with grain and beef thunder through Mato Grosso, carrying the wealth of the Amazon to the world. The deforestation of the 1980s fueled an agricultural boom that has continued to this day. Brazil recently overtook Australia as the largest global exporter of beef. Cuiabá is at the center of this farming phenomenon. If anywhere is feeding the planet, it's here. And these are the people doing it. Ranchers and farmers, men and women who turn trees and wildlife into crops and cattle. They're meeting to discuss the future and how it can be made even more productive. They have little time for environmental groups like Greenpeace.
The most important living things in Mato Grosso are human beings. People are the most important things here. So if we need to cut down this tree to save a life, we will cut this tree and save a life. We are told that people are worth less than trees. This is wrong. Human beings are the most important thing here.
The guest speaker at the conference is the environmentalists' arch enemy, Blairo Maggi. As well as being the governor of Mato Grosso, he owns one of the largest farming companies in the Amazon, and environmentalists hold him responsible for huge swathes of destruction.